So as a comedian, I believe that I don't want to be censored. I think that nothing is off limits. And I think the social climate right now and the temperament started way back with Norman Lear, who had his finger on the pulse many years ago. The world has become too censored. And there's three dogs, like I said, I have in this fight. As a comedian, I don't want to be censored. As a trans woman, I want equality. And as a black person, I want fair treatment in this country that we've been trying to get for 400 years. So everything is important to me. All of this, what you can say and cannot say, is ridiculous. Comedians are put on earth, and our safest place on the planet is us on a stage with a willing audience that's willing to listen, because what we do is we say things that other people are afraid to say, and we say them hopefully in a funny way so that you use your own mind to do your own critical thinking and think for yourself. I absolutely do not think that the special should be taken down off of Netflix or anything else for that matter with Netflix, because here's what needs to be done. We need to bring people to the table. What Dave did, what the great Dave Chapelle has just done is opened up a forum to have a real conversation between the heterosexual and the gay community. There is no topic that should be off limits. In the words of the great poet Nikki Giovanni, I have never worked a room where the door is locked. If you're in a room and you're uncomfortable, you are free to leave.
Wow, that was powerful. That was Flame Monroe. She's actually on my top 10 of favorite comedians that's out there, and she's trans. Absolutely, absolutely love her. But hey, everybody, this is Malika Gardner of Chicago Hill. It's time for some healing, Chicago. What you think, Reven?
Hey, we in rehab.
We in rehab. Yes, we are in rehab. All right. Hey, Rep. LaShawn Ford is on. Rep. LaShawn Ford is on.
I can't wait to hear the conversation. I'm over here in Washington, D.C. With my daughter. We are at Howard University's homecoming. And the Howard Bisons, they're playing Norfolk, so we're live here, and we're doing everything we can to encourage black people to go to black universities. But I can't wait to hear the results of the callers. So you guys have a great show. I'm not going to make my position known. I want to hear the pulse of the people. So y'all going to give me a report?
Yes, we will give you a report, Rep. Ford.
Well, you always got breaking news.
Yeah, we don't have breaking news today. All right, Rep. Ford. Well, enjoy the time with your daughter, and we miss having you here in the studio with us today.
All right, rock and roll. Give people a voice by now.
She's going to have to be sergeant at arms because I can't do it.
I know Rep. Ford is probably a little nervous with me because I tend to be bad cop over here, and he's always the right one. But that's all right. I'm excited because we have two very special guests right here in the studio with us. I love it when they come into the studio because you get to feel their energy, and we're waiting for one of our guests to get a pair of headsets so he can hear what's actually going on here. Yeah. But please welcome to Chicago Hill. We have Dr. Fabrice Lubin from For Real Therapy, and we have clinical therapist Kathy McCall from Urban Balance. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Yes. So the topic that we're diving in today has been hot across the country, around the world, really, in regards to Dave Chapelle and his Netflix special, The Closer. And people want to cancel him. They want to cancel this black man for his views. And I would love to hear what Dr. Lubin and Ms. McCall have to say. Let's first address the audio clip that we heard with Flame Monroe, because I absolutely love her. She's transgender, and she had an interesting take on it all. So you all being therapists with the therapist lens, what did you hear in her clip, and how do you think people are receiving it? And how do people deal with those emotions after hearing her clip? We'll start with you, Dr. Lubin.
You know, the first thing that I really was struck by in the clip is something that I experience in the therapy office all the time, which is creating space to express oneself. Having the opportunity to hear challenging content, challenging conversation. There are things as a therapist that I've been exposed to and have listened to that is challenging, difficult, and it opens up my ears and my heart to experiences that I've never personally been through. But by being able to and having the opportunity to sit across from someone and share space with them has taught me a lot about not only myself, but about understanding the world. So I think that clip speaks to that rather than shutting people down, we need to try to create spaces where people can be heard and listened to. And that is a path to healing.
Yes, because people don't always feel comfortable coming forward with not understanding something, their pain. And if you can't even come forward with that, then you never start the healing process or the coming of an understanding of another group, another person, a situation. Yes, yes. I feel good with you already, Dr. Lubin. Thank you for that. And Ms. McCall, yes, you and I spoke on the phone. First of all, let me say, Dr. Lubin, he's a returning guest, actually, but this is his first time in the studio.
Okay.
And he brought, yes, he brought some powerful information in our second show. And I was like, we have to bring this man in-house to talk to the people. And then I spoke to Ms. McCall over here, and she deals with anger management, which her and I got to talk. I think can see I got anger issues. But Ms. McCall, I would love to hear your take on what we just heard.
What really stood out for me was just her tone and timbre of her voice, her passion, in her commitment, meaning that I heard a person that was empowered, that took ownership, and she was able to articulate that in such a way to where she offered encouragement. She said that people have a right to their opinion. And she also encouraged in that piece to where individuals need to come to their own understanding, create a situation to where you can think for yourself. And that's what I heard her say. I heard a person that has taken ownership. She's embraced who she is, and she can think for herself. And she's encouraging others to do that as well. In other words, as a comedian, the information that they come up with, their narrative is powerful and is strong. And I think her support of David Chapelle in that piece just simply says that we need to embrace differences. Because if they want to be embraced, everyone should be embraced as well, and everyone is entitled to their opinion.
Yes. I love both of you. Absolutely. Revan, we're not doctors. We haven't studied. What did you hear in the clip?
Well, you look at the history of art, culture, and expression. And so we're at a place now, if you look at all the killing in the community, the response was art expression on the viaducts and billboards where people express their culture, their diversity, their gender. So it's all over Chicago expression, whether you like it or not, from gang graffiti to where we are now. I think also in the comedian world, the N-word was dealt with, and then they came back and said, we're not going to say the N-word, and everybody's using the N-word again. And so we're not targeting the N-word like we're doing certain other things, and they're giving attention to other things. But the Asian hate thing popped up. This situation popped up. But I do say, I'm a community organizer, and at the end of the day, when you're talking about black people, You say the N word, people get passed. You say Asian hate, you say other, you getting sued and fired tomorrow. That's just what I'm thinking. It's called therapeutical for most people.
I would love to hear what the people of Chicago out there, what you all are thinking and feeling on such a very sensitive topic. And I appreciate Dave Chapelle for bringing it forward, because we're actually having a real conversation now about it, the layers in it. So everyone out there, feel free to call us, 773-591-1690. Again, that's 773-591-1690. You've got some things you want to get off your chest, what you're feeling. Emotions are high over this. I mean, people protesting, wanting to cancel the man. What is behind the mentality or the emotions of someone who wants to cancel someone out? I mean, like destroy livelihood.
Censorship, platform.
Yeah.
It's even with the music and the rap music. We're saying we don't want this language. It has to be a balance to keep it. So if you're going to play a whole lot of negative, you got to play some balance positive. If you're going to talk about the devil, you got to talk about God. So the problem is the censorship is you want to suppress one voice and raise up another, and that's when you have a problem.
When you all have your patients to come before you and say they have that mentality of wanting to cut a family member off, they haven't talked to them in years, because that's just how they deal with things. They just cancel them out. They cut them off. What do you say to that heart, to that kind of emotion, that kind of pain? Either one.
I can lead with that, because I do have clients, that have difficult relations, within family, with other family members. And so it's like they have tried to talk with them. They have tried to problem solve. They have tried to look at all sides of the relationship. And I think it gets to a point to where, for some of my clients, it's as if it's overwhelming for them to go around certain family members, but they're willing to try. But they figured out a way to have that balance. Just like he stated that there has to be balance. And so for my clients, it's the way of helping them to find balance, as opposed to just cutting family members off. Because they recognize that if I cut you off totally, that I'm isolating myself from other members of the family. They don't want to do that. But it's a matter for them to find that balance. So helping them find the balance, helping them find their level of tolerance, and know, like whenever they go in for the holiday season, know that you're just going to go and stay an hour and then take a step back. And I think it's just like anything else. There have to be balance. There can't be all or nothing. And it's a way of tolerating relationships and being heard. You don't always have to agree, but I think when parties are heard in all relationships, that's where you can get that balance.
Dr. Lubin?
I think that one of the pieces that I hear consistently is that people will approach therapy saying, it's like almost like they hand me a box of stuff that they don't want. I don't want this past trauma. I don't want to experience this type of pain anymore. I don't want to hear from this person or hear from this anxiety or depression anymore. And they often want to, we could use the word cancel. I use the word mute, lower the volume on something that they find intolerable. And the point of therapy to me is to teach individuals and to show that you can't actually reduce things. You can't subtract things from life. I can't remove your injuries. I can't take away things that are uncomfortable for you. What you really have to ask yourself is, what do you want to add to your life and to your experiences? And I think that if we can look at some of the things that this conversation is bringing, it's an addition, right? Dave Chapelle isn't taking away from these communities so much as adding now a new dialogue, which is happening literally in real time, where you have a community finally attempting to address something that wasn't really ever spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
And that in and of itself has a lot of power. Dave Chapelle has had the time to craft, listen to all kinds of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And people may try to jump in line and say, well, I agree with him or I disagree with him. But have you actually had the opportunity to allow yourself to learn and to form your own opinion on something?
We're hearing. We're hearing that a few times in this conversation. Forming your own opinion, not necessarily just you got to choose a side. Forming your own opinion, and I have to say this, for Dave Chapelle said something in that special where he talked about he was jealous of the LGBTQI community, their movement, because they've been able to make such strides. Though they're definitely feeling the challenges, the blood, the being killed, and But I will tell you, in me and Ford drafting the legislation for Black History expansion, the all-inclusive American History Bill, I mean, it was a fight to get that done, and there's still states across the country who are fighting to get Black history kept into the curriculum. But the LGBTQ community, they got their bill passed like, bam,
1 year
done. So their movement is powerful. I mean, and we're still fighting to even have Black history taught in schools, to, pre-enslavement taught, the correct history taught, and trying to keep them from pulling Black history out of schools. But they got a bill passed where now all kids in the state of Illinois will learn about the LGBTQ community. I'm interested to hear, we've got a caller waiting, but I'm interested to hear, does anybody, understand or notice that their movement is powerful? So I don't even see why they're really impacted. When you're in the power position, somebody cracking jokes shouldn't even you're making moves that we're still fighting to get accomplished.
Well, usually Black people end up being the platform of all movements and utilize, whether it be Emmett Till, whether it be Raquel Boyd, whether it be the Clyde McDonald, you go on and on with platforms that we bring that other people don't want to touch. And a lot of time our laughter and in that is real serious, that bring about platforms for other people. But I do want to go back to the Black History Bill. That bill was written in 1991, and we're still fighting. And then this bill only lasted 1 year because they organized, they registered, or they got money, or they got power. We as Black people, we won't register, we won't use our money and control our power.
That's going to lead us into the next audio clip, but Dr. Lubin. Wait, for those of you who can't see what's happening, Dr. Lubin is intense.
Waiting on the next episode.
He is intense.
He's on the edge of the table. I see you, Doc. I see you.
All right.
This is a powerful conversation. And so everything I say, I have to state, I come in here with my full heart, my full vulnerability, and a willingness to make mistakes and not get it right. That is something that's important to me. That, to me, is leadership that I was shown through my own father. And I try to continue that and push that for all men and all individuals and humans out there. So one of the things that I think is so important about this dialogue is, are we looking at it as these are separate issues, that the LGBTQI community is separate from the Black community? Because we have Black and brown young children who are gay, who are queer, who are trans, and they are Black. And their needs and their voices and their experiences aren't being held either.
You're right on.
So the history of their gender and sexuality will be taught, but the history of their race is still a fight. How do you explain that?
And as long as we continue to feel like we are divided on this topic, then you're putting divisions within the souls and the spirit of these young kids.
And see, the history of the black family and the black church, this has been a issue that really wasn't an issue because we had family reunions. We was at the churches until things took another level. Now we're trying to see, are we divided in a household? When it was something that we accepted, we were there all the time with family reunions in church. It just was going. Now it's become, as you say, a platform, a topic that need to be talked about. But one of the things I want to deal with is usually blacks that deal with that, they end up dealing with that issue, and then they're discriminated against age, health care, housing, and everything. That becomes the issue of that, other than the racial inequities that they're experiencing on the back end. So that stops. It's no more a civil rights movement. Now it becomes a personal movement of gender, and we got to be careful and keep a balance, because most blacks, if they're in any area, they're at the bottom of the toll pole in terms of being respected on health, housing, and economics.
Ms. McCall.
Yes. What I do is I'm very empathetic, and I'm very compassionate about people. And what I hear is from the political lens and from the psychology lens is you have to have that balance. And so for the African, because this is a very hot topic, but it's very sensitive, you know, to where, you know, when we've had, looking at our history, you know, as African Americans in this country, and it seems to me that some people feel that because, you know, everyone's experience is different, regardless of your skin tone. We're all African Americans, but our American experience is just different. And so when we talk about the LGBTQ community and the African American experience, you know, it's almost as if, you know, one is elevated and one get pushed to the side, you know, and so then that causes division, you know, as if to say that, well, maybe I don't want the system to teach my children about their sexuality. That's something that should be taught in the home. You know, to where you have people that push this agenda to say that I want to teach my kid about this, teach my kid about that. But yet, and still at the same token, you take other things out that could give you that wholeness. In other words, economic viability in our community is important, access to equal health care, but yet at the same time, all those get pushed to the side. You know, as to where it just becomes focused on the single lens. But it's just not the single lens. You have to figure out a way to focus on the totality of the situation. So how do we do that? We have to pull back the layers, you know, and we have to have conversations. And you have to know that you're not going to get it right always. But you don't want to, at the sake of dividing, you want to be able to bring everyone together to where they are heard. And it's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to be disagreeable.
Pull the layers back.
Pull the layers
Pull
back.
the layers back.
There's a lot of layers here, and everybody has valid points in it. It's a lot of layers. So we're going to take a call from Frank from the West Side. Hey, Frank, welcome to Chicago Hill.
How you doing, my sister and my brother? How y'all doing?
Hey,
All
hey,
right.
peace. Blacknificent, brother, blacknificent.
You know, I was kind of hesitant calling in on this because this is a hot topic, and I'm pretty much one of the saved. But as a saved person, I got to speak out and just call it like I said. As a saved person, I stand on the side of God when it comes to just about everything. What he doesn't condone, I don't condone either. But I know I'm not these people judge. I'm not going to pass judgment on them. Their judgment is in the hand of God, just like me. I will interact with them on a professional level from A to Z. I sure will. But I would draw the line as far as social life. No, I'm not going to the bar with you. No, I'm not having a drink with you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I feel as though, I must say this, they have the right to protect to defend themselves if they feel they can come up on attack, just like anyone else, as we have. And I must say no, the N-word, people have been getting fired and losing their platform for the use of the N-word. There was once upon a time in this country, especially in times our ancestors in bondage and coming through Jim Crow, the N-word, that was like saying, there was no consequence for it. But now look how far we've come with it. So I got to push back just a little bit on it. But that's all I want to say in regards to that. You know what I'm saying? And finally, Jay Chapelle, I think they finally got him to get canceled, if I'm not mistaken, because they all walked out. See, they just turned the heat up on that, like we do. If we want something done, it's not been getting attention, we have learned all we got to do is turn the heat up, and we will get our way. So they turn the heat up on, and I'm saying they let off the air. And let's see, as far as the Paul has as much quality has gained in moving forward, fast and cooking, it wouldn't be hard to convince me that that's because there are people in the power structures from A to Z in this country that have loved ones of that community, and they probably in the closet themselves on the down low.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying? So
bring us on in close, brother. We got some calls. Bring us in. Bring us in.
Yeah, but that was my closing on that right there. And this is a great topic. And I'm glad to see it coming forward. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you for that, Frank. Me and Dr. Lubin are kind of at a disadvantage. We can't really hear.
The platform.
A quick summary of what Frank was trying to say to us.
Well, Frank was going. We take sometimes we take the spiritual biblical Bible and use it as a platform. And I always tell people, religion and politics, that's a long argument that you might not never win when it comes to, especially in the House, because we've been divided with the politics now. Some people are Republican, the wife Republican, the husband Democrat. So it's created another platform politically. But I think Frank was right on. It's a spiritual conversation that needs to be had, and that becomes divisive sometimes based on religious belief.
Okay, the phone lines are lit up.
Get lit. Well, we got our two great Chicago-owned comedians, Brother Marlon Mitchell, and we got Brother Reggie Reg. They're going to be calling in, God's willing, to be with us and give it from Chicago on. Some of the greatest comedians of all time here out of Chicago. I don't know but go ahead, Malika.
Okay, let's take one more caller, and then we're going to go to Marlon Mitchell because he is waiting to talk to us.
Oh, he's hot.
Yes.
We off of 75th Street out of Chatham at Francis. It's hot. Bring it.
We're going to bring on Cheryl first. She's been waiting. The lines are lighting up here. Okay. Cheryl, welcome to Chicago Hill.
Hi, welcome. Hello to everyone and Brother Regan.
Hey, sis.
I just want to mention, due to the fact because they started speaking about the religious aspect of it, is that we as Christians and believers believe in the law that God laid down, and the law was that however it is, men be men, women be women. And I find it to the point that I don't think that they should be offensive because the comedian is making jokes about it. Because they made jokes about the women's that night. He made jokes about the women's that night, about colors that night. But again, nobody really rose up to speak about it. But the thing about it is, I find offensive is to the point that when all this started back when they started allowing them to get married in the county, and we were speaking about it in our office, and they were so soft about being offense, but they failed to realize that they was offending us. So I almost got offended being a straight person. I'm like, how you going to offend me for wanting to be who I want to be? So I just wish they would, if they want to do that spirit, let them operate in the way they want, love who they want, but don't try to make us as straight people feel bad. Mm-hmm. We don't care about who they love. We love who we love, and that's all I have to say about the situation.
Did you all want to respond to that? Dr. Lubin is probably like, I can't hear anything, but Reven, sum up what Cheryl said. She talked about
Cheryl, who I know Cheryl, she's a God-fearing woman and praying loves everybody. Mm-hmm. But her position she was sharing was in the spiritual realm, if you, a straight person, that is being forced to make them feel uncomfortable with the issue of the LGBT platform. So she was trying to say, hey, it's okay, we respect that, but don't make us feel uncomfortable at the same time as you push your platform, which becomes another dialogue, I think, and she was dealing with it.
Yes, that's going to bring up another topic I wanted to bring up as well, because a survey went out where I did this survey, to Cheryl's point, I did this survey. It was on media. And when I got to the end of the survey, it asked for my gender. And I'm used to female, male, non-binary. I'm used to seeing those. But now the list is so long, I didn't even know what they meant. I had to Google every single word to find out what my gender was. I was like, what? So which one of these am I? I had to take time at the end of a survey that I thought I was going to knock out in 3 minutes. It ended up being an hour of me studying gender to find out what I am considered today. I want to be considered, I want woman, I want female back on there, but now I'm considered a cis woman. I don't want to be called a cis woman. So, Dr. Lubin, Ms. McCall, can we address that, and then we're going to bring on Marlon Mitchell.
It should be a box on there, you just a black queen.
Oh, yes.
You're just
yes.
an African queen.
Yes.
So we got to put that box up. But go ahead, Doc.
You know, speaking as a therapist who also loves poetry, you know, there's words matter, right? And words are complicated. And how we find and search for the words that define ourselves can take a lifetime to just even understand ourselves, let alone anyone else or a group that we don't necessarily interact with all the time on our day-to-day. And so I think one of the things that I'm hearing in Cheryl's kind of questioning, right, is I don't want to be put down. I don't want to feel like there's no space and place for me in this life. And that's the thing that's so powerful about how we can approach things with, rather than reducing or reduction or subtracting, it's an opportunity to bring in our values and to have a conversation on what we value and what's important to us. So what I hear is when you're talking about these boxes is you're saying, I value my womanhood. I value what it means to me. And I want to make sure that that part of that value is able to be expressed. I would also say, from another lens, for the trans community, they value their personhood and their humanity, which is something that Dave Chapelle talked about at the end of his set, is can you experience others as having human experiences? And human experiences are complicated, they're messy, and they're not easily definable.
And none of them really look the same.
Not to mention that a lot of how we define ourselves now or in the past have come from other sources and other places. So if we're talking about like African diaspora, when I look at myself, I look at my parents, I say, well, we're Haitian. Is that black? Is that brown? Is that this? Is that that? Now, in my own language, I'm starting to understand it as African diaspora, something much more complex. Not an easily definable place and space to occupy.
The original.
Thank you for that, Dr. Lubin. Ms. McCall?
Yes. First of all, I just want to say to the caller that I hear you, you know, and that it is important when you make room for everybody else, but at the same time, you find that what you value is kind of being pushed to the side. And no one likes to feel that they are being pushed to the side, you know, and it's a conversation for another time. But however, in tying this in with David Chapelle, it's just like what he said, you know, you want to be able to have that experience without being canceled. You know, just like the survey that you mentioned, you know, there's no space for male or female in that. And so I question who is coming up with these words. You know, what's the root of this? It goes back to, once again, of peeling away the layers. There's so many layers. And just like the lady said on the caller called in, people are starting to feel that once certain things are being taught about sexuality, then heterosexual is going to be, you're going to consider to be, you know, not the norm. When it shouldn't be. What's the norm, what's not the norm? It's like, you know, I'm a male, I'm a female, this is what I identify as. But yet and still, in order for someone else to be elevated, other people are being pushed down.
Interesting. I would, in doing that survey, I was like, so should I put other? Am I other now? When before I've always been female, woman, but I think I'm other now. In terms of the dictionary, I was cis woman. But I don't like the way cis woman sounds, so I was like, I should have put other and just put what I call myself. But yeah, it's so many layers.
You should go in as a write-in. Black sister. write what you want to be in there if they're claiming stuff. But what I find out to be when you start doing all this, we are already being depopulated on the great exodus of Chicago gentrification. Now we don't know what to put on the paper. That's going to affect the census count.
Oh, yes.
Then you got some Latinos that they're saying that are signing on the European in the box. So now we're mixing up the whole depopulation here of the whole understanding. But we have to really be careful because one of the things you got to understand, we're black first. Yeah. And I'm going to hit it hard. You ain't born religious with no doctrine and who you was. I'm with Baptist. I'm with Pentecostal. Absolutely. You were black or you were African. You're the original people. But what that leads to in the great transatlantic slave trade, when they kidnapped us, let's be clear, the men and women on those ships were violated. We don't want to talk about that. And then you move forward that we helped build this country, 400 years of pain, and then they're moving people on a platform that Martin Luther King gave, and I commend the Latino and other people from using it, but we're not. But we are being pushed out when you got sanctuary cities, black men driving while black, and other people giving a pass sometime. We could take a whole quick survey around Asian hate and move forward. But go ahead, sister. I'm just trying to lay a platform.
Thank you for Reven. I always count on Reven to drop some new knowledge, like something to think about always. God, this topic is so hot. It's not enough for an hour. So we want to get Marlon Mitchell in.
That's hot.
Marlon Mitchell is a comedian. I want to say a Chicago comedian. He's a comedian here.
Known all over. He also is responsible for putting a lot of the comedians. So I'm looking forward to hearing his take on the historical content and where we are. Chicago's own Marlon
Mitchell. Welcome to the show.
Chicago Hills.
How you doing?
Hey, my brother.
Before Sister Gardner, pleasure for you guys inviting me. And there's not enough time to discuss this topic.
Right.
It's really big. But I hate that Dave Chapelle is being the what I'm looking at right now is him being a victim of him just speaking his mind. And he's telling the truth about things that are going on. And now he's going to get ousted, per se, just for him being, just outspoken about something that's the truth, and I think that's wrong. Because we as a people, we haven't got it together yet, but for him saying something that's the truth, he's going to be out of a job. I think that's wrong.
Marlon, yes, speaking his truth, his livelihood should not be cut off. And in comedy, would you agree? I mean, comedy is that place. It's to me, I compare it to if you're buying tickets to go watch a boxing match and then all of a sudden you're appalled at what you see in the ring.
Nose broke
if a nose broke, and now you're like, oh my God, how could they let us see anything like this? To me, it's kind of the same. In comedy, you could be called out in the audience at any moment and get talked about like a dog, and everybody's laughing. You either have a choice to laugh with them or walk out.
Right.
Like, what are your thoughts as a comedian on that?
I think it's wrong. I think Dave Chapelle, the way he is in comedy, he should be able to really honestly say what he wants. I know he knows how to say it, and he said it in great conscience. He said it where I don't think anybody should have been offended. He was talking about one particular situation, and to me, it was funny. It was really funny. I think it was wrong that he, be persecuted like that. That's not right. He didn't go. He didn't go all the way in and just dog out the LGBTQ community. He's talking about one situation about a rapper. And look where we're at. We're discussing it, and we're doing it on a platform where we need more time than an hour to talk about it.
Oh, yes.
Whoa.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
he definitely got us talking. If that was his goal, because we don't really know what his intent was, we're not in Dave Chappelle's head. If his goal was to get us to talk about the human experience, then he achieved it, he accomplished it, and he should be applauded for that, most definitely.
Well, I just use the same thing on black crime. We talk about each other all the time. We make fun, we mock each other, and nobody stops and say, time out, quit talking about your own kind. And when we go outside that barrier and start talking about other people, oh, it's a problem. But we've been called the N-word, the B-word. They've been promoting $1 million songs that call our women out our names and Facebook Live, women twerking. And ain't nobody went gangster. Now, he make a statement, which is, with these brothers' platform, they talk about every level. And, you know, Richard Pryor crowned them. But how do we get, you got to be good. It'll take us off the real prize of where the money and the dollars and cents are.
Okay. We got 4 minutes. 4 minutes, 5 minutes?
Is Reggie Reg?
Oh, we got 10 minutes.
Reggie.
Okay. Titus, our board operator, is giving us 10 minutes. No, I don't see Reggie Reg.
Okay.
We got some other callers waiting, but I wanted to hear from Dr. Lubin and Ms. McCall to Marlon's comments. Now, Marlon was just saying it's not right what they're doing to Dave Chappelle. It's not right, because he was up there speaking his truth. Because I know you can't hear him because you don't have the headphones. He was up there speaking his truth, his human experience, and now they're trying to keep him from making money.
Right.
I mean, to be real, Dave Chappelle is fine. He's fine with his money. His money is straight. He's got nothing to worry about.
Poor pimps arguing about rich pimps. Go ahead.
The $50 million that he lost on Comedy Central, he is now probably doubled, if not tripled that, right? He's a smart business person. There's also a business in outrage, which Dave Chappelle has learned from a very early age as a comedian to cultivate. I think that we should be allowed to have critique of Dave Chappelle, just like Dave Chappelle can come and have a critique of our culture.
Yes. But not stop his money, though. Not stop his livelihood. Although he's got a ton of money, and it's probably not going to affect him. He's probably set up for generations to come, his family. But still, a man making money, that's a lot to a man.
Well, you
it's his ability to make money.
He refused. He didn't want to wear a dress. Was when all this kicked off.
Yeah,
when he said, "I was a comedian. I don't want to put on a dress and do these other." So that was the first heat. Then he stepped out the scene. Now we're back. So we're back at a platform for conversation with a platform that I think is needed at a time to dialogue.
Ms. McCall?
Yes, David Chappelle, I have to say that he's fine. He stated that when he first started, he said, "This is going to be my last, but I'm here for an agenda."
Yes, he did.
He stated that.
This.
If you listen to his dialogue, he added so many layers, and I use the word often, the word layers often, to that, to show how an elevation of a movement is minimizing other people's life experiences. And so, yes, he's fine. And I do thank him for the dialogue of being able to have this conversation. I think because it's been taboo for so long. You know, just like he mentioned the Babe, you know, of being canceled, how a person can shoot somebody of African American, nothing happens. But if you say or go across the line and say things that are mean-spirited, you know, you can be canceled because you targeted a certain group of people. So, yes, we can have a dialogue about David Chappelle himself.
Yes. Let's get we got several callers up here. Who is this restricted, Titus? Okay, all right. Lewis, welcome to Chicago Hill.
Good afternoon, good people. I think we're missing it, okay? Dave Chappelle, when he did that, he knew that they was going to come after him and cancel him. He was trying to send a message to us. The message he was trying to send is about black-on-black crime. Now, he was trying to say that we should be outraged about the baby for allegedly killing somebody, and we didn't cancel him, And so what happened was when the baby made a remark about the LGBTQT community, they canceled him. And that's the message that he was trying to send, is that we should be outraged, So he sacrificed himself, He knew that they was going to come after him if he said anything about the LGBTQT, But he expected that,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you for that, Lewis. Thank you. I want to get this one last caller in. He's saying he's openly gay male. Michael, if you can get it in 30 seconds, we'd love to hear your voice.
Hi, my name is Michael O'Connor. I've been calling VON for 30 years.
Hey, Mike, hey, what's up, Big Mike? Lay it down. I know you're gonna bring it.
Okay, and I'm from the School of Belief. First of all, Dave Chapelle was talking about, he wasn't just talking about all LGBTQ, he was talking about the white ones. Anybody who ever know anything about us know that the LGBTQ community comes in many different forms. And quite frankly, I've been the difference between they white first, okay? And with that issue comes racism. And with that issue comes all the other issues that keep us down regardless of orientation. That's why the conversation doesn't make any sense. We need to be dealing with some real issues. Why are we underemployed as a whole, regardless of sexual orientation?
You hit it
I
on a distraction.
understand
Yes,
the
sir.
trans issue very well.
And quick closing remarks in 30 seconds.
You can reach me at For Real Therapy. That's on Instagram. You could also go to forrealtherapy.com. We are a queer, trans, and LGBTQI affirming therapy resource as well.
Thank you, Dr. Lubin. Ms. McCall?
I can be reached at Urban Balance. We're on the website. You can Google us. And we are a very diverse group of independent clinicians, and we service all scopes of people within the Chicago area. We have offices throughout the United States and Dallas. We have Tennessee and Missouri.
Thank you, Ms. McCall. And Reven, make
it quick.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to say, hey, Chicago Hills, I'm Reven Fellows, but I want to say that, like Mike said, the platforms, when it happened with us, everybody makes money when we have a problem. So the airways are going up, the ratings are going up, and people are getting hits on Facebook Live and making money. Don't nothing start unless somebody making money, and black people are usually the one getting the money taken.
And this is Malika Gardner, Chicago Hill. Be sure to join us next Saturday, 2 p.m. right here on WVON, iHeartRadio. We have some hot topics coming up. Thank you all. We want to hear your voice. And Rep Ford, we miss you. We miss you, dude. Have a good time out there with your daughter.